Today is the 22nd of March. It is the International Day of Water, and it is the last day of the official transmission from Our Lady of Lourdes. This does not mean that the portal closes, just that our program with it finishes. So let's all get present. Make sure that you're on mute. Make sure that you are getting grounded. And there in your mind's eye, I want you to just imagine any natural body of water. Any natural body of water, as intuitively as it flows to you or comes to you, just hold it in your thoughts with the clear intention of being connected to the water, as life connecting to life. We've already done this exercise in previous meditations, so I'm simply putting it into the chat. Focus your energy on it and send it a blessing. I have in front of me the Yabba269 candle, and I'm lighting it on behalf of every person in the network. That your energy connects to mine as it connects to the water, and we thank the water for the life force that it brings into our beings in lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. In this space and in other unknown or unaware spaces. Just send a blessing, send your appreciation, send your gratitude, send a prayer. May the water always be present. May it always keep us in a natural flow of life. May it continue to be a healing force within the limitations of our physical bodies, within the limitations of the physical planet, and as an energetic presence for all life in creation. May what it represents always be revered, held sacred as a historical record of who we are and where we've been and what we are still becoming. May the power of water be ours not only to harness and use for the highest good of all parties concerned, but may it also seek to cleanse and heal and balance the earth itself. May the power of water show us exactly how brilliantly, beautifully, inevitably, authentic power works in the universe. And still breathing gently, just get quiet and think for a moment that that body of water upon which you are currently focused is in fact exactly the same as the natural body of water known as your physical body. The 2/3 of your body as water is also a natural body of water, exactly like all other beings who are sustained by 2/3 of their bodies being water. So the dogs and the fleas, the birds and the bees, are all natural bodies of water. And there in your mind's eye, I have no doubt that you can have images of the destructive power of water. When water has gathered its forces and overtaken those spaces that we have claimed as our own. And there are so many spaces in the world that have been claimed from the oceans, claimed from the rivers and lakes. We have taken ownership of the land from the water. And for those of you who think I am referring to South Africa, even while I'm talking about this, yes, I am. Yesterday when I was on the mountain, all I could see everywhere was a series of lingams, the Lord Husband's abode. And I wondered, how is it possible for anyone to claim ownership of that which is? It just is. It was there before we manifested on the planet. It will be there long after we are gone. It will re-manifest and reassert itself in different forms long after we are forgotten. So the power of water is so great that it has had the ability to change civilization and the history of civilization over 300 billion years. And one of the things that we are experiencing in the mass or collective consciousness at the moment is how the water is out of balance in all of our communities. We have spaces of extreme drought and spaces of extreme flood. I looked at the pictures of Alaska on Shahina's Facebook page today, and it's a beautiful green space surrounded by water and impending drought. They have reported that they have reached day 0 as a city with access to clean water. Cape Town claims that it has set back day 0 and it has plans to buy water. Major companies like Nestle have claimed the water, are bottling it and selling it back to humanity as if they own this natural resource. And we, as insignificant manifestations on the planet, are actually replications of exactly the structure of the planet, 2/3 water. And I am left wondering how it is that we can heal the water within us in order to heal the water in our atmosphere, in our environments. And in places like Our Lady of Lourdes, the sanctity and the sacred vibrations of the water itself is so high, so easily felt, that immersing yourself in it shifts and changes the memories of the water you hold within you. And this is what we call the miracle of the healing waters of Lourdes. Now Charmaine and Fatima and I came here on pilgrimage, and we went to the baths. It was very cold, it was raining, which seems to be fairly normal for Lourdes. They have an excess of water at Lourdes, excessive rain, excessive snow, excessive sleet. And all of those waters flow through the sanctuary. It's a long and winding pathway all through the various cities surrounding Lourdes. But we went to the baths, and not to give you any of the details, but the sensation of being immersed in the water of Lourdes left us quite speechless. I remember afterwards Fatima and I just looked at each other and we didn't quite know what to say about this experience. We knew that something had happened inside, but not quite what had happened. With hindsight, I can pin down some of the things that happened. New clarity of vision, new openness, new ability to communicate, the willingness to feel new things, even a new layer of vulnerability within us. But that needs to be maintained. Like everything else that we desire most in our lives, it needs to be maintained. But most of all, I think the waters of Lords offers an opportunity to clear away the taintedness, the stains of doing human. So imagine for a moment that every time you do something or say something or feel something that goes against the grain, goes against the flow, the natural flow of who you are. Imagine for a moment that every time you engage in one of those acts of self-betrayal, you are actually putting a lower vibrational frequency as memory, as data into your body. We know that we do this because we have something called energetic parasites that feed on our energy systems and gather wherever we are in our bodies, more vulnerable than in other spaces. So some of us get sick in our bones, and some of us get sick in specific organs, or we get sick in our chests. And Louise Hay drew up an entire index of how we get sick in specific spaces due to our emotional congestion in those spaces, due to the low vibrational frequencies that we are feeding into those parts of our bodies through our thinking and our attitudes and our conditioning. And of course, water is the very first detox substance, the most natural substance that we use to dislodge any congestion. But just consider for a moment how you are creating that congestion. We are not born with wounds or scars or the determination to be sick. We are not born to be unhealthy. We are not born to be destructive. And in fact, if I listen to Paddy, we are not born at all. If I listen to Paddy, she describes life as a system of coming out of your house one day, getting in your car, driving from A to B, parking your car neatly after you've had a series of adventures along the way, taken some pictures, had a few meals, chatted up a few strangers, and by the time you park the car, you're tired of the journey and you are ready to once again go home. So you park off the car, switch it off, get out of it, hand back the keys, leave the keys in the ignition, and move on. Sometimes to rest, sometimes to get another car, to have another road trip. So we are not born. We are not born to wind up with self-destructive bodies and self-destructive thoughts. We are not born to have shadow selves. But having been born, having engaged with the physical plane, we have a system of thinking, a system of philosophy to explain, to bring reason and understanding to doing things that make us less, to having thoughts that make us less. And in the duality, we have labeled that our shadow selves. We have even gone so far as to describe it as our ego selves. Psychologists and scientists have agreed that we have this ego personality self that is present in the world, hiding our natural inner selves. And once we buy into that drama, we also buy into the drama that we have to work through all of that ego self in order to acknowledge or know or feel or sense the inner self, the most vital self. Meditation is the space in which we go directly to the vital self and acknowledge that everything else is the game, everything else is the illusion, Everything else is me getting in the car and thinking I am the car. Everything else is me getting in the car and thinking that the next destination is going to determine who I am, that the next meal is going to serve all of my needs, that the next stranger I meet is going to fulfill all of my dreams. You don't do that when you get in your car. When you get in your car, you know it is merely a vehicle that must be well maintained to get you from A to B. That the decision about what A is and what B is something you have created for yourself out of your own free will, from your own intention. In fact, we take getting into our cars so for granted these days. It's exactly part of the routine. It's what we do. We get in the car and we go places, sometimes completely unaware of how we got from A to B in the traffic. And all of us are different types of drivers. Some of us have road rage. Some of us are quiet and calm and we listen to soothing music. Some of us listen to audiobooks and other of us listen to the news. Others of us just drive in silence or hum under our breath. Some of us are driven by chauffeurs. But we are all in a vehicle going somewhere. Your physical body is exactly the same kind of vehicle. Don't grow so attached to it that you think that you are it. But while you are using it, use it well. If 2/3 of your body is water, then 2/3 of your body is holding the memory of aeons past and aeons future simultaneously. There is no new water on the planet. All the water that we witness and experience everywhere in our lives is the water the planet began with. And when I look at Our Lady of Lords and I see the abundance of water, I want to call colonialism and say, send it back, give it back, stop stealing the abundance of Africa, zap it back. And of course I can't. So I have to accept that the world is in imbalance and we have to create the connectedness. So in terms of the structure of the planet, there is a beautiful gravity-oriented downward flow of the waters of Lords over the equator and back to South Africa, back to Africa, back to this side of the equator. And come the spring, we should have all of these new beginnings arising for us in our own country. Exactly the kind of new beginnings that we want to manifest within ourselves. New beginnings free of dis-ease and discomfort. New beginnings where the memories of past lives and future lives, the memories of all of the now moments in which we were destructive within ourselves, are healed. Memories that are present only in the physical body, because when I am done with this vehicle, its composition of 2/3 water is surrendered back to the earth. And the memories that that water holds can also be surrendered back to the earth. It is only your attachment to those memories as a definition of yourself as a past and a future that moves it from lifetime to lifetime. It is only your attachment and your identity as a past and a future that creates this karmic cycle that we find ourselves in. If not for the attachment, there are no scars. There is no destruction. There is only the evolution of self and the history of self present in the water. There is only the acceptance of self as it is present in the water. And when you surrender the body, without attachment, you surrender that too. The karmic cycle remains clear. But evolution requires that we be challenged. And so we have a system of taking forward from one lifetime to the next the greatest priorities for the soul's development. We take forward between lives the greatest priorities for the soul's development. And from one life into the afterlife and into life again, those priorities flow. They remain in our energy systems, they feed out of our chakras and are transmitted into our physical bodies and awaken the history of the water as it is born in our physical bodies. Water-born history. You are a series of water-born histories. Humanity likes to focus on waterborne viruses and waterborne bacteria, waterborne plagues, and we forget that perhaps we are the biggest virus of all. When I listen to the water at Lourdes, it is loud, it is crisp, it is clear. It is a demanding energy. It's an energy that requires that you stretch yourself outward in order to meet it. Just like Archangel Michael at the Abbey of Mont Saint-Michel. It's an energy of aspiration, of hopes. It's an energy that inspires one to reach for the miracle and to be the miracle. And it's always interesting for me that whenever Our Lady has appeared in any space, here at Fatima, at Zaragoza, at Ngome, she has always come to speak of big changes. She has come to tell the people to gather in prayer, to bring their minds into oneness with each other in devotion to God. That the Catholic Church has made that God a specific God and given it a specific ritual is not our business. Our business is that an ascended master, an energy of the divine feminine, an aspect of the divine feminine in her unconditional love, has made herself present on the earth plane to speak to the collective consciousness about how best we can redress the imbalances of our communities, how best we can come together in oneness, how we can use the instruments of the earth to heal ourselves and to progress as communities, as nations. Our Lady is known for bringing healing waters and the miracle of the sun. It never escapes my notice that both the water and the light of the sun are requirements for life. It is no accident the divine feminine gives us access to both. Not with faith in her, but with faith in creation itself. This is the nature of the divine feminine, that it reconnects us with what is naturally present, with what comes from creation and is given freely and unconditionally to all living beings. Humanity has decided to have ownership of everything. If we were a corporate, we are the greedy ones. We have taken ownership of the land, we've taken ownership of the animals, we've taken ownership of the water, we've taken ownership of the marine mammals and all of the other life forms within it. Life forms that we cannot even identify. And we behave as if it is ours to use and abuse. We don't behave as if it is ours to nurture, ours to hold safe. We are not mothers of the planet. Our Lady is a mother. And in terms of the stories of the Bible, she is a mother who is described as having to experience the greatest loss any mother can experience. The earth is described as a mother. In the most sacred texts, it is Mother Earth, Gaia, she who gives birth to life, she who provides a vehicle for life. And she too is described as experiencing the greatest loss that any mother can experience. There is a grief in the water that must be addressed. There are toxins in the water that must be addressed. There are diseases or diseases in the water, man-made diseases from chemical toxins created to kill mankind and put into our water that must be addressed. And all of these things that must be addressed live in our bodies. They live in our consciousness as 2/3 water. So that natural body of water that you are viewing in your mind's eye is exactly the same as the body of water that you are. In today's meditation, I want you to go to the water inside you. I want you to feel it flowing through you as a life force. And I want you to feel whether that water has the same kind of abundance as the water at Lourdes, or if it is going into drought. There are so many of you that I meet personally, one-on-one, and with so many of you, I say, what is going on? I'm feeling extra thirsty when I talk to you. I am very bad at drinking water. I know this. Most of us are. We take the fact that we are 2/3 water for granted. And until we are faced with water restrictions, we take water itself for granted. If you made a list from the moment you woke up every morning to the moment you put yourself back to sleep, and if you're like Charmaine and you get up in the middle of the night, please include it on the list too, all the things that you do using water, everything from brushing your teeth through every cup of coffee, everything you eat, you can trace it back to water. But for yourself, make a list, and make a list of everything that you use water for, and next to it, how you use it in your mind and how you put it into your body physically. When you are drinking the water, when you are eating that which contains water, how are you putting it into your system? Even when you take a pill and you wash it down with water, how are you doing that? Where is your consciousness? When I look at the mass consciousness in general, and not just as our network, I see a resentment, a general resentment of our dependency on water. And I don't understand it. I don't understand why we are separating ourselves from the water. I don't understand why we are resentful of needing it. It's exactly the same as being resentful of the need to breathe. It's saying I am resentful of having a physical body, a vehicle, a plane of expression here. It is being resentful of self. And that resentment keeps the waters inside tainted and stained. We all have a relationship with water. And more in the world we are becoming aware of how sacred that relationship is. And when we think of putting water and fire together, it seems so opposite to do that. And yet that's exactly what we're doing in our physical bodies. We're bringing water and fire together to sustain life, to create life anew all the time. We're earthing it and grounding it. And we are letting it flow. We are uplifting it with air. We are the elements in a unique combination. And water and light is where we've been for a few meditations now. We get grounded every time in order to be connected to the earth, to honor our connection with the earth. We breathe in meditation, again, knowing that we are connected, knowing that we are dependent. But water and fire don't feature in our meditation as elements unless we bring our minds to them. We are working in the sacral chakra, which is the chakra of water. It is the chakra of free will. It is the chakra of sacred connections and sensuality. It is also the chakra from which we manifest abundance. Once we have moved past the poverty consciousness of survival in the base chakra, we flow into creating abundance, manifesting of our own free will, our highest intentions for self and others. Water gives us the power to do so, the fluidity of it, the fact that it can move into nooks and crannies and cracks. It has a mind of its own. And within us, we dominate it with our minds instead of allowing it to have that mind of its own, to guide us and lead us, to show us where in our physical bodies we are being more limited than we need to be, than we're designed to be. There is no separation between us and the waters. Coming home to Lourdes and going home to Our Lady of Velencani and coming home to Durban has blurred the boundaries for me, has blurred the lines of distinction. If I didn't need visas for those other countries, I would quite happily be hopping a plane every second day to go visiting at home. I would quite happily commute from home to home. The mere existence of a visa tells me somebody has taken ownership of the earth, has claimed it as their own, and is now charging people to put their feet on it. And I watch the chaos of the world around me, and I know that the time of balancing is here. I am supremely optimistic that the balancing is now. We have spent years exposing and bringing the need for healing to the fore. And having done so much of that, we are now in the space of healing. We are the healers. We are the spiritual warriors. And everything that you do inside your body is actively available as intelligence from your energy system, in your atmosphere and in your environment and in the universal intelligence. So I heal the waters within and I heal the waters without. Our Lady has made many promises while I am here. And I have complete faith that each of those will be fulfilled. And in turn, I have made a commitment to fulfilling my end of the work, because it takes work. The miracle is that the work moves better, smoothly, that the work unfolds exactly as intended for everyone. And even if I cannot see the whole picture or the full outcome, I know that the work that I am intended to do is sufficient for my soul's evolution and sufficient for the network from which I arise. In exactly the same way, each and every one of you belongs to your own network. You have your own work where you are. Do it well, in the understanding that you are a miracle making more miracles, that every ounce of work you do is significant in the grand scheme of things, no matter how insignificant we may be on the planet in this moment and in this time, in a long and glorious history of creation. When compared to eternity and infinity, we are completely insignificant. And yet in the moment of making a choice, of implementing that choice, of living it fully and experiencing it joyfully, we are the most significant, powerful beings of light, available to our natural resources and their continued health and life in their relationship with us. And this is the commitment, to maintain the relationship, to remain in awareness of it, to educate others about it, to bring forth new ways of empowering the relating and utilizing the power of water and the power of soul in harmony, in balance. So let us meditate.